If you'd told me a year ago that my peaceful new life in Willow Creek would turn into an all-out digital turf war with a clipboard-wielding suburban tyrant, I'd have laughed in your face. But that's the thing about neighborhoods like this, they lure you in with those perfect lawns and pastel houses, then chew you up and spit you back out before you even realize the gate's locked behind you. At exactly 6:47 a.m., my smart kettle gave up the ghost. I'm talking full-on dramatic wheeze followed by the lights doing their little death dance and my work tablet freezing mid-sentence Wi-Fi hub, chirping once before flatlining. So there I was standing in the kitchen, coffee dreams dashed, just mumbling, "Not again." This wasn't your run-of-the-mill power outage either. I'd spent 10 years in military systems analysis. I lived for backup plans, solar panels, battery bank, the works. But none of that means squat when chaos has an HOA badge. Now Willow Creek looks straight out of a brochure. Identical houses, perfect lawns, flagpoles, set by the inch. Everything sterile as a dentist's waiting room. I moved in 6 months ago for a remote gig, thinking sure this'll be peaceful. Maybe too peaceful. That lasted until Karen Whitmore appeared on my radar. If you ever want to know what happens when someone mixes a little authority with a lot of boredom, meet a suburban Karen, late 50s, neon tracksuits and a clipboard she carries like Thor's hammer. She ran the HOA like it was her personal kingdom. You couldn't fart without her making a note of it. I tried to stay invisible, paid my dues, mowed my lawn, kept my music down. But when the ancient entry gate finally died, a creaky thing with a keypad that barely worked and a habit of trapping Uber drivers, the board threw up their hands and for some reason asked for volunteers. Against my better judgment, I raised mine. I built them a smart gate, solar-powered encrypted license plate scanner, emergency override, the works. Neighbors were thrilled. Karen, not so much. She hated that she hadn't picked the design or the color, or most importantly that she couldn't access the server herself. Her emails started small panel glare, ruins, ambience, data, privacy concerns, unapproved infrastructure, you name it. The board had given me written approval, but Karen doesn't lose gracefully. So when my kettle died that morning, I knew something was up. I stepped outside, rubbing the sleep from my eyes, and saw Gary, my neighbor, standing by his Tesla, looking like someone had just told him EVs ran on dreams and good intentions. His car was bricked, no charge port, no nothing. Lights were flickering, garage doors stuck halfway. Not just me. This was a full-scale meltdown. I headed for the gate, mind racing. Only one thing could short out the entire grid, the admin panel. I'd armored it against weather and hackers, but I didn't count on pure, unfiltered spite. As I rounded the corner, my stomach dropped. Someone had absolutely doused the panel in silver spray paint, lens and all. A masterpiece of suburban sabotage topped with the words "private neighborhood" and a frowning face just in case the message wasn't clear. Lucky for me, I'd hidden a backup camera in the birdhouse across the street. Old habits die hard. I pulled up the footage, and there she was, Karen, midnight graffiti artist, sunglasses, and all methodically painting every inch like she was prepping it for a rocket launch. Not exactly covert, but thorough. She even brought a stepladder. Turns out the paint had seeped through the heat vent, shorting the panel and frying the entire system. Garages, key fobs, emergency override. You name it. By 7:30, the block was in uproar. People stranded, deliveries piling up, one neighbor locked out of their ride to a dialysis appointment. Karen arrived cool as a cucumber, smoothie in hand, acting surprised. When I told her I had her on camera, she played the victim. That panel was illegal. No permission for cameras, the whole performance. Didn't work. I'd already posted the footage online and the neighbors had their phones out ready to vote her off the island. And you know what? For the first time I heard applause, not for me, but for the end of Karen's reign, at least for that morning. The chaos didn't stop. I rigged a manual override janky, but it worked, then spent the rest of the day running diagnostics. But something was off. Even after the patch, weird glitches kept happening. Garage doors opening and closing at random, porch lights flickering Morse code at 3 a.m., even a smart oven turning itself to 500 degrees with no one home. And then, as if we weren't living in a haunted house already, the transformer started buzzing at night like an angry beehive. So I started digging, clipboard in hand. Yeah, I know I've become what I feared. The glitch pulsed every 93 minutes like clockwork. That's when I realized Karen's paint job hadn't just fried the panel, it knocked loose a relay, sending reboot surges through the whole system. Every so often, the gate would try to self-heal, only to make things worse. I needed help. Enter Marcy Tran, an old project manager of mine, and the only person I trust with tech nightmares. She rolled in with more gadgets than a Bond villain and a smile that said she was here for both business and popcorn. Together we traced the fault, patched the override, and stabilized the grid. But of course, just as we were wrapping up, Nate's phone pinged unauthorized access. Someone was at the gate, this time with a crowbar. It wasn't Karen. It was her son Todd, the entrepreneur, whose greatest achievement was crashing the Wi-Fi at the last block party. The feed cut out as he severed the wire, but not before auto-backing up to the cloud. "This family, I swear," Marcy just grinned. "Guess I'm staying over." Next morning, Karen brought back up a skinny guy named Blake from the HOA board, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. She declared we were running an illegal hacker ring. I showed her the damage, Marcy showed Blake the logs, and the neighbors showed up in force, some of them filming. Rosa, who'd been stuck with her screaming twins in the SUV, wasn't having it. Karen tried to deny everything, but Marcy pulled up the cloud backup Todd in all his crowbar glory. Even Blake had to admit that was someone interacting with the system. Interacting. Yeah, okay, bud. It was clear now this wasn't about safety or rules. Karen hated that she didn't have control. And once the neighbors realized it, the tide turned fast. Julia, the new interim HOA president, announced a leadership review. Karen went ballistic. Todd looked like he wanted to disappear, but there was no saving them. Marcy revealed she worked for the Department of Infrastructure. Turns out our smart gate wasn't just a neighborhood upgrade. It was a pilot project, a test bed for the state, and Karen had sabotaged it twice. The fallout was legendary. The HOA suspended Karen and Todd from all decision-making. The neighbors, freed from her grip, aired every grievance: birthday balloon, fines, mulch colors, you name it. By the time Karen stormed out, the room had moved on. I got offered the tech coordinator job. I turned it down. I'd rather build than babysit, thanks. For a while, peace reigned. The gate worked. The neighbors actually smiled at each other. Kids rode bikes. Gary's Tesla stopped glitching, and Karen's prized flower beds surrendered to weeds. Her support neighborhood order sign sagged in the window. But you knew it couldn't last. At 2:17 a.m., a few weeks later, I caught a silent ping on the gate relay, a probe like someone was testing for a weakness. The camera footage, a shadow shorter than Todd, moving with purpose. Karen again. She hesitated, then tried her old tricks, only to freeze when the new panel flashed, spray paint privileges revoked. She bolted, and that was the last we saw of her. Next morning, her house had a desperate for sale sign, leadership potential. Like anyone wanted that mess, nobody bought. By Wednesday, a moving truck showed up. Karen left without a word, sunglasses on, hoping invisibility was a real thing. As the gate closed behind her, the neighborhood actually exhaled. That night I had friends over, nothing fancy, just barbecue and gate footage on a loop, everybody laughing at the memory. Marcy did her Karen impression, Rosa brought keypad cupcakes, and someone handed me a plaque, Community Tech Whisperer. But the real prize, sitting on my porch watching the steady glow of the gate, the soft hum of my smart kettle Pixel purring on my lap, and knowing that for once the only thing flickering in Willow Creek was the porch lights. At least until the next would-be tyrant gets bored and picks up a can of spray paint. So tell me, what would you do? Where's the line between protecting order and strangling it? Drop your thoughts below. I've got a feeling this story's not over.